This is Terry Howe from the Talkback Fans Podcast, and you're listening to the BBQ Central Show with the incomparable host, Greg Rempe.
Start the game! Let's go!
We'll do it live. Okay. Well, do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and... Oh! Should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
All right, good evening and welcome to the really big Barbecue Central show. This is the show that talks about all things that are important to the world of barbecue and grilling. This show originating from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city, Bomb City, USA, Cleveland, Ohio, the barbecue capital of the North Coast. I am your program host, Greg Rempe. Happy to have you aboard here on your Tuesday evenings of live fire fun and survival, sir. If you want to jump into the show this evening, or if you don't know how to follow me and you want that info, here's how you do all of it.
You can get in touch with the show by sending an email to Greg at bbqcentralshow.com. Follow us on all the social media channels at BBQ Central Show. And be sure to subscribe to the show podcast feed on your favorite podcast platform.
Anything else you want to find out about the show can be found at the main website, thebbqcentralshow.com, which, not letting the cat out of the bag, is really looking like there's going to be a completely new website already. I'm not even 3 months into the new old website. There's a very, very definitive possibility that that's going to be changing a little bit. Nothing that you would be able to notice, but not being held hostage by weirdos and trying to upcharge me at every left turn. Dealing with reputable folks right here that appear to be in the States, and I feel pretty good about that. Notwithstanding any of that, again, everything else you want to find out about the show, the main website, thebbqcentralshow.com. And here's what's happening in case you get the newsletter, which you can't currently sign up for. We'll fix that. Don't worry about it. In about 11 minutes from now, why not catch up with one of the most prolific competition barbecuers to ever do it, a book author, seller of rubs and sauces, and somebody that has won almost all of the most important barbecue competitions that any pitmaster would want to win. The last time we had him on, he was talking about his overall Memphis In May Grand Championship back in 2019. It is Tuff Stone that we'll be joining and catching up with. So looking forward to talking with Tuffy in about 10 minutes from now. TuffyStone.com, his website. In case you haven't checked that out in a while, you want to go and see a little bit of background on him. You can buy some of his stuff right there. So looking forward to catching up with Tuffy. And then we will race to the 35 past the hour interview segment and be joined by third Tuesday of the month regular guest in this segment, the creator of cookoutnews.com, Wes Wright. That's right. Wes Wright is back and better than ever. My favorite guy on the internet right now, cookoutnews.com. I'm visiting now at least once a day, if not multiple times a day, because he is digging all the stories up. He knows all the ways to do it. And love having Wes on once a month here, talking about all the breaking news in the live fire industry, business, cookers, patents, trademarks, all that stuff. So look for Wes to close out the first hour in the strong way possible. And then we will move to the second hour. It is the third Tuesday of the month, as I had mentioned. So we will be joined by quarterly guest making her second appearance in 2023, Jess Pryles. JessPryles.com. HardcoreCarnivore.com, her two internet properties, if you would like to check those out, if you're not familiar. So we will be talking to Jess about her latest trip to Mexico. We'll be talking about beef tallow. We'll be talking about upcoming recipes. I have the way to end the segment, as we always do with her, which is which song of the two is better. She has fared on the correct side twice out of like 700 times. So her percentages still aren't great, but she's working up to better percentages. So Jess Pryles, 14 past the second hour, and then we'll close it out with somebody who I have literally been chasing as long as it's been since I've had Tuff Stone on the show the last time. The owner and creator of Cookin Pellets and the associated website, cookinpellets.com, Chris Becker, will close it out with me here this evening. I have chased Chris Becker, saying, when will you come on? When can we catch up? What's going on in the pellet world, not only with Cookin Pellets, but just in general, because he's an expert in there, but he's been very busy. Pandemic has been a time for him to take stock and redo a few business models and a few business dealings. So we'll catch up with Chris Becker there at 35 past the second hour, get all the insight, see what news going on, and CB a wealth of information. By the way, one of my key questions to Chris Becker, so don't bother sending it to me through email or instant chat or anything like that. You have seen the what I'll call reemergence of charcoal pellets. The last time I talked to Chris Becker about charcoal pellets, 7-8 years ago, and he quickly delegitimized them in his opinion. So I will once again re-ask him that question again. What's going on? I believe it's the same company. I don't think it's the same company. But Royal Oak is marketing a all-charcoal pellet. So we'll see if that's something that is legitimate in his opinion. He's allowed to have an opinion. And how one would go about making them if possible. Well, if you can do it, why doesn't he do it? All the inside info coming up from Chris Becker as we close out the show here this evening. So Tuff Stone and Wes Wright in the first hour, Jess Pryles, Chris Becker in the second hour. You can follow me socially on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Snapchat at BBQ Central Show. We say good evening to those of you watching tonight through one of our video streaming platforms. You can go to Facebook and Twitch /BBQCentralShow.com to watch, or you can take in the show via YouTube /RD You can also take in the show audibly through Clubhouse. Let's see if we even have anybody in Clubhouse here this evening. Currently 0 people in Clubhouse. That's fine. Just another way, if you'd rather listen to us but not look at us, you do it through Clubhouse. And, of course, we do have a new YouTube poll question of the week. Not a shocker here, but I did ask, do you believe that there is a barbecue and grilling season? Yes or no? And currently 100% of you are saying no. Of course there's no season. It's all the time or no time, pal. Hit the bricks because you are going out. So 100% of us are saying that there is no barbecue or grilling season. And as I try to remember here through the guests this evening, that's how we'll lead each and every segment. So let me start here this evening. We have a couple minutes before we get to the first break and then pull up Tuff Stone. I got a number of emails over the last week from folks telling me that they did seek out the most recent edition of the Baseball and Barbecue podcast hosted by Len Hollywood Aberman and Jeff Cohen, the old coot, covering why I should be in the Barbecue Hall of Fame. I also got a number of messages asking if I put Len and Jeff, or should I say Jen and Janet, up to this. I did not put them up to this in order to boost my chances into the Barbecue Hall of Fame, anything like that. Rest assured, this is not what happened. These are two guys that, for whatever reason, felt the need to dedicate a whole episode to why I would lend value and legitimacy to getting into the Barbecue Hall of Fame. What do we know? You have to nominate, number one. Those names that are nominated go in front of the names committee. Those names are argued for. Those names are then devised into a finalists list of 9 names, which are sent out to the current living members of the Barbecue Hall of Fame, and then those folks vote for their top 3, and the top 3 of the 9 most getting votes make up that class of the Barbecue Hall of Fame. I believe, actually, last week, Robert Moss said there might be an additional living member going in, so that 3 might get bumped to 4, but we'll get a little bit more assurance on that as we have those announcements coming up here with the Barbecue Hall of Fame, of course. So rest assured, this was not me putting somebody up to this on my behalf. Do I care if I get into the Barbecue Hall of Fame? The overall answer is no. Of course not. I mean, really, other than being able to say I'm in it, it's not going to change my life in a tangible way. The show's not going to see a mega bump of revenue. TV offers aren't coming in. Syndicated radio offers won't be flooding in. However, I'm a very competitive person by nature. So if there's an opportunity for me to win at something, well, then yeah, of course I want to win. So my name is nominated. There's a chance for me to win. So yes, of course, I would love to win. But do I care? No. If you can diverge, I'm one of those unique individuals that can take their personal feelings and put them over here, and then business feelings, or we don't mix business and personal, okay? Try not to do that. Try to have no expectations in life and realize how much better your life just got. Why not? All right, Tuffy Stone is ready to rock and roll. We'll get to him here in just 1 second. I will talk to you quickly about Primo Grills, because what do we love about ceramic cookers? We love that they are fuel efficient. Yes. We love that you can achieve low and slow temperatures for traditional barbecue meats, but we also love that you can get rip-roaring hot for high temperature grilling of steaks and other thin cuts. But what's missing in the everyday normal lineup of ceramic cookers? The real ability to do true two-zone cooking. Two-zone cooking is very important to both professional and backyard cooks alike. It's the best way to manage a fire and cook with confidence. However, getting a two-zone fire in a round ceramic cooker is not very realistic. Why? Because it's round. Enter Primo Grill in the game-changing oval design. The shape gives you the ability to execute a two-zone setup that you desire, also giving you all the other ceramic grill benefits as well. And when you break it down, there's more than 60 different ways to cook on the Primo. So you're only limited by the culinary imagination that you have. Also, everybody loves accessories. Primo has really stepped up the game over the last 18 months, brought a lot of accessories to the game to help complete the Primo Grill cooking experience. Here's the bottom line. Best ceramics in the biz? Yes. Patented technology? Yes. True two-zone cooking capabilities and multiple sizes of ovals? Oh, yes. Only to be seen at dealers, though. So go to a dealer near you, find one close at primogrill.com, and then visit that dealer, look, touch, and feel all those oval cookers, and then pick the one that best fits your needs, and then get all the accessories with them, because your dealer should have them all as well. primogrill.com. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram. That's primogrill.com. We're back with Tuffy Stone right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Broadcasting live from the Barbecue Central Show studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back to this portion of the show being brought to you by cookinpellets.com, your number one source for quality wood pellets for all your pellet-driven cookers. Visit cookinpellets.com for more information or to purchase. And the creator of Cookin Pellets will join us 35 past the second hour, so stay tuned for that. My first guest tonight on the show more than 3 years ago, or almost 3 years ago, where we were then talking about his first ever Memphis In May overall world title. You know him as a TV personality, a book author and content creator, a purveyor of rubs and sauces, one of the most feared and respected competitors to ever start a fire. He's also a part of the class that makes up the 2018 Barbecue Hall of Fame. And little known fact, an inaugural member of the 2018 Barbecue Central Show's Guest Hall of Fame as well. We race to the hotline and welcome back friend of the show, Tuffy Stone, joining us. Tuffy, appreciate you making time here this evening. Are you just finding out now that you are a member of 2 Halls of Fame in 2018?
I just did.
What are the chances?
I don't know, but what I'm really excited about is that my audio is working. I was so nervous that this wasn't going to work. We did our little test cruise on Sunday, and you've got this dialed in, and it was working on Sunday. It's like, man, are you going to be able to hear me? So, first of all, big relief there. But so, what are you saying?
I'm saying that between the two halls of fame that you got into in 2018, Barbecue Hall of Fame, but you also got in the Barbecue Central Show's Guest Hall of Fame. Which one carries more weight?
Well, it's got to be yours, Greg.
Of course.
It's got way much more reach. It's like so much fun. I get to talk to you all the time. So, that email you found, it goes back. I think it went back to 2008.
Oh, wait.
That was like, it's like we're working on 15 years ago.
Yeah.
I think it's I've just been sitting here, waiting in the queue to get on your show and listening to you, and you had me laughing, and you were teaching me stuff, and I can see how you've made it so many years. So, job well done.
Tuffy, appreciate that. And I want to, before we dig into some content here this evening, I wanted to ask you the Barbecue Central's YouTube poll question of the week, which you probably heard here in the intro, which is this: do you believe that there is a barbecue and grilling season, yes or no?
All year long.
That's right. All year long. There's no season. Currently, 100% of YouTube poll question of the week pollers are also saying, no, there is no barbecue and grilling season. It's all year long. So certainly appreciate that. We'll talk about the Memphis in May barbecue event that's coming up here in just a minute. But I do want to lead off tonight talking about the rubs and the sauces that you have for sale. And I'm especially interested in the process because for anyone that knows you, Tuffy, you have, I don't think it's an understatement to say, exacting standards. And I figured that this is something that would have been, let's say, low-hanging fruit going all the way back to the Barbecue Pitmasters days. Why did it take so long to get Tuffy's rubs and sauces?
Well, I'm going to try and make the abbreviated version of this. You already know I can get really windy, so I'll kind of go into it quick. I always had this belief that just feeding people was, like being a plumber, being a cook, being a chef was like being a plumber. And so rubs and sauces were initially things that I did for my restaurants. I made them that way. Then eventually I did everything under Cool Smoke brand. But anyways, COVID hit, and it hit my restaurant and my almost 30-year-old catering company really hard. And I was watching so many of my friends enjoying great success, providing great products. Everybody was cooking in their backyard. And I had products out there, but I was like, all right, it's time to retool my career. And I started thinking about rubs and sauces. And the first question I asked myself was, were the products that I had out there the best that I was capable of making? And I said, no, I can make them better. So I spent about 6 months during COVID really dialed in, tweaking. I've got someone that makes fun of my recipes sometimes because I add an extra eighth a teaspoon, but I thought it made, for a better taste. But anyways, I just retooled them all. It was really hard for me to put them under my name, but I ended up having a lot of counsel from people saying that they felt like there was more people out there that knew my name than Cool Smoke. So I rebranded. Brady, he did a great job with the packaging. I still get uncomfortable with, being around my rubs with my name and likeness on them. But I think they're much better, and I'm just going to try and continue to, create more products, and hopefully people will give them a try and enjoy them.
A lot of folks would love seeing their name on a bottle or a jar of sauce being on a shelf or being distributed widely across the country, potentially across the globe. Why for you is it tough to see that, or what makes you uncomfortable?
It's years ago I had an opportunity to create these gift boxes with 2 rubs and 2 sauces, and the person that wanted me to do that wanted me to put my picture and my name on there, and it was a really great opportunity, and I was very appreciative. And I said, I really appreciate the opportunity, but I said, I can't put my name and my picture on a bottle of rub. And so to answer your question, Greg, it goes probably back to some teachings that my grandfather kind of, instilled in me as a young man. And it was about humility. And it just kind of seemed strange to me to put my picture on a bottle for whatever reason. Takes a pandemic to make me change my mind on that. But anyways, it was just, I felt like Cool Smoke was just a fun name, and wasn't all about me. And so I don't know if I answered your question or not, but
You dial in all the recipes, get them where you want. But then the next step, of course, is because you're not just making these in your kitchen, you're going to probably have to find some kind of co-packer. So how long of a process does that take? Because I've heard plenty of stories where it took forever and then maybe the relationship didn't go that well, or they're trying to steer you in one direction, trying to make you compromise on stuff. What kind of a process was that like?
well, so I've been making products with co-packers probably since about '08, '09. So I've had a lot of experiences that way. There's a lot of things. I mean, Jess, who's getting ready to hop on, I mean, she's a master at this. There's so many of my friends that are so good at it. But I think there's layers to it. What's your capacity? Because there's going to be some co-packers that they want 400 gallons of a sauce. So if you're a startup person, that might be too much for you. So I think you need to find a co-packer who can deal with whatever quantity that you need made, whether it's large or small. I think it's working with a co-packer that when you give them your recipe or your formula is going to be able to produce it like you intend for it to be. So there's a lot of back and forth with, sending a recipe, getting a product shipped to you. With my co-packer, I actually drove down to Mississippi and spent a day in the lab just tweaking. And so there's that layer of it. There's where are they located? Because shipping is going to fall into this. So a lot of times it makes sense to have a co-packer that might be in the middle of the country. I've got a friend that does so much product that they need a co-packer on both sides of the country, and that's a good problem to have. So things like that. I mean, packaging. I mean, you might want to pack in glass, and so some co-packers won't pack in glass. So there's a lot of things like that. There are some co-packers out there that can take your brand and then help create recipes with you and for you, and distribution. Can a co-packer put you in accounts?
Do you share who you're partnered up with, or do you
Yeah.
keep that a
So,
secret?
and I've been with a number. So, and I've had a lot of great relationships. But currently, I work with Reed's Foods and Tastemakers, and so they're out of Mississippi, and they have two facilities. So they have a dry facility and they have a wet facility. So they can do sauces, they can do rubs. I have found them really great to work with.
Tuff Stone joining us here on the show, tuffystone.com, his website. The rub and sauce market, Tuffy, like this is no surprise to you. It's as big as it's ever been. You can go down grocery stores now, and one full aisle has rubs, sauces, seasonings, marinades, anything that has to do with live fire to add taste, flavor, or tenderness is there. How are you standing out above everything else that's now available?
Well, I mean, everything you said was like really clear to me when I was retooling all my recipes. I thought it might be one thing for somebody to buy one of my rubs or one of my sauces the first time. That's old branding, by the way. But there we go.
There you go.
Anyways, what website are you on? Cool Smoke or
That's
Tuffy Stone?
tuffystone.com.
Okay.
In the
I need to
pantry.
fix that. Yeah. So anyways, I thought it would be one thing to get somebody to buy my product one time, but once it's empty, will they go back and get another one of those, or will they get something else? I think I really got to like, brands like Butt Rub, brands like Meat Church and Hardcore Carnivore and, Malcolm Reed. The list is so long of people that have done such a stellar job with not only growing their rub and their sauce sales, but maintaining them. Butt Rub, Byron Chisholm, going to be 25 years old as a brand this year. I think that's really amazing. So for me, I think it's taste and trying to make a really good product. And then I got to tip my hat to some of the people I just spoke about. They're creating content all the time. They're doing such a great job with their social media platforms and really staying top of mind for the consumer when they go into Academy Sports and Outdoors or Ace Hardware or True Value or a grocery store, and they see that big wall of rubs and sauces that you're talking about, and they're going to probably say, "Oh, I saw their YouTube video or I saw their Instagram post." So I'm a little I should have started this about 10, 15 years ago. So I'm working hard to catch up uh, and trying to do a better job with all of those things. But I have a lot to learn.
Outside of the fact that you are in it in business, do you feel that the rub and sauce market could be potentially oversaturated at this point, or is there never too many?
My guess is it could become saturated, and it probably is saturated. And I used to, I like to participate in the National Barbecue Association, and I've been, to many of their conferences, and I've listened to a lot of people speak that are really smart. And I used to listen to this person that was had an amazing multi-million-dollar business in sauces, and he was so smart, and I would listen to this, and they're out of business now. So I think I got a lot of work ahead of me, and I think probably many others do too, uh, to stay in business and be successful for many years to come.
TuffStone.com, the website. Once again, if you want to check it out, see what he's got for sale, and grab some up here as Memorial Day is quickly approaching. I had mentioned at the top of the segment that I wanted to talk to you a little bit about Memphis in May. That's coming up here shortly. I guess first questions first, did you make the cut this year? Because that was a concern on a lot of teams.
Yeah, we did. We were fortunate enough that we're coming back.
All right.
So we're not going to have. We usually have a site right on the river, but they've planted a lot of trees. They've done a lot of landscaping, sidewalks. I think there's side and sprinkler systems and things like that. So Memphis in May, they really had to get creative with how they place teams, and so we're not going to be on the river this year. But I'm going to be. I think I'm right beside Lily's queue, so we always have a good rapport, and we'll be there. So we're going to be in Shoulders. We have to be loaded in on Wednesday. We've got a bunch of festivities coming up, but we'll cook our big meat. We'll probably trim and prep on Thursday, light our smokers on Friday night. The drill. Saturday we'll do a blind box, and then we'll do 3 on-site judges where you talk about your processes and present, and then everybody sits around and waits, and the top 3 in shoulders, ribs, and whole hog will find out who made finals, and then they'll all go head-to-head, all 9 of them.
How do you gear up for something like this? You're not a guy that's doing 30, 40 KCBS contests anyway, not that this is a KCBS judged event, but just to get some rust knocked off, as it were, or have you done it so much and for so long, and you've been very successful at Memphis in May, where it's just second nature?
In my kitchen, in my other room, I have the 2 files from Memphis in May, the 2 previous years, and so stacked on top of each other, they're about this thick. So Leslie and I, my wife, we started pulling the equipment yesterday for Memphis in May. So we're a month out. So we're starting to pull our gear. Memphis in May's got a lot of equipment that I have to bring to that I wouldn't have to bring to a KCBS contest. So there's a lot of logistics. It's about 12, 13-hour drive for us. So that provides a little bit of stress, towing gear and box trucks and all of that. And you're right. It's not, I can do a KCBS. Like I can tell you my timeline for a KCBS right now, because I've been doing the same one for so long. So I light my fire at 2. I put my meat on at 3. With Memphis in May, I have to go back to my notes. We'll have a Zoom call Thursday night with the team. I have to bring in more people for this. I did cook Memphis in May one time, just doing ribs with just my father and I, and that was a big challenge. That was a lot of work. But there's so much that happens with Memphis in May, with platters and china and linens and all this stuff. And so we'll have a Zoom call on Thursday night at 5:00 and kind of talk through it all. And, I got lots of sayings. One of my sayings is plan your work and work your plan. And so we'll do it. And I get a little nervous, Greg, it's like, but I do some of my best work with a little bit of, edge to how I'm feeling. So
Tuffy, we get new listeners all the time, and I just don't assume that everybody knows who you are and what the backstory is. But your dad, George, had passed away like 3 years ago, and during the height of the pandemic, of course, things weren't normal for a lot of people during those times, of course. And for anybody that knows you, knows the team, your dad was a staple of competitions. So you were able to share your biggest successes in barbecue, probably some of your biggest heartaches in barbecue too, with your dad. So could you take a minute and talk about the relationship you had with him and what it was meaning to you to be able to share those special moments with him?
Greg, my truck's right over there in front of my house, and on the dash of my truck is my dad's lucky hat. So that was the hat that he was wearing when we were fortunate enough to win so many of these contests that we've been able to win together, including Memphis in May. And it's funny, when we would get a hotel room, he always got the bed closest to the restroom, and I always got the one furthest away. And so I never ever sleep in that bed close to the bathroom. But my dad, you mentioned about me being inducted into the Hall of Fame back in 2018, and they presented the award at the American Royal, and so I got up to speak, and I looked out at my father, who was in the sitting in a chair, and I said, "Dad, we've come a long way since I wrecked your truck when I was 16." But Dad used to always say he was the luckiest dad in the world. He was so proud. We would pull up at a filling station to fuel up, and the pit would be behind the RV, and someone would say, "That's a nice pit," and then my dad would go into this dissertation about all the contest that pit had won, and we'd get back in the vehicle to leave, and I'd look at Dad and say, "All you had to do is say thank you," but he was very proud. We had a lot of great times together.
Tuff Stone joining us here on the show. TuffyStone.com is his website. Tuffy, anything else you want to hit here before I let you go? And I want to have you on coming up. I don't want 3 years to elapse before we come back out, because I know you got a lot of content and all that stuff, but anything else on the way out?
No, I just want to thank you for being a place that us people that love to cook with fire could come to for 15 years. To enjoy that fellowship. I don't get to go to competitions like I once did, and when I do, it's like I get to see old friends, and it's like seeing family. But being on your show, I think I was telling you this when we were doing our test run on Sunday, and I was just talking to you and seeing you on screen. And it just, I don't know. It's my dad used to always say the best thing about barbecue is the people, and I think you keep that alive. So thank you,
Tuffy. Appreciate the time, and we'll do it again soon. Thanks so much.
All right, thanks, Greg.
You got it. Tuffy Stone right there, Barbecue Hall of Famer, Barbecue Central Show's guest Hall of Famer as well. And again, the website TuffyStone.com. So if you're looking for new rubs and new sauces to try, or if you haven't tried them yet and they've been on the radar, why not shoot on over there and pick some up right now at TuffyStone.com. Great interview. If you missed it, podcasting, don't worry. It'll be up tomorrow. Wes Wright is ready to go. Talk to Wes here, and we'll ask him the YouTube poll question of the week. Hey, Pits and Spits is building some of the best-looking, best-cooking smokers on the market today, offering a full family of products, including traditional offset smokers, wood pellet grills, charcoal grills, travel grills, combination pits, fire pits, and much more. Pits and Spits has been one of the only American fabrication shops that's focused on smokers and grills for almost 40 years. Why is that important? They're able to put an emphasis on quality and design, local source materials, unmatched attention to detail. From the fully welded barrels to the heavy gauge steel, they bring both function and beauty to life. Pits and Spits building every product with the intention that it's getting passed down for generations to come. Whether you're in the backyard or on the competition circuit, you're going to be able to take that barbecue and grilling game to the next level, because there is a product for you. Want more information? Check them out at this website, pitsandspits.com/BBQ Central. That's pitsandspits.com, all spelled out, /BBQ Central. And use promo code at checkout, BBQ Central, when you spend $500 or more for a free spice pack. Easy to do. Spend $500 on accessories or buy a cooker, which you know is going to be over $500, and then enter promo code BBQ Central at checkout, and you can get hooked up with that free spice pack. Wes Wright is ready to go. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
All right, we are back. Programming notes before we get with Wes Wright. Next week's show, which you would find on the 25th, is going to be one day later on Wednesday, the 26th. The following week, which I believe ends up being that first Tuesday in May, will also take place on the next day, Wednesday. I think that's May 3rd, May 4th, something like that. Oddly enough, both times will find me in Texas in successive Tuesdays trying to come back, and both landing flights are not going to be time conducive to doing a show on Tuesday. So I've cleared it off with everybody that's already scheduled to be on that show instead of Tuesday. Next week and the week after, all shows will be on Wednesday for those 2 weeks. They will be live, so don't worry about that. Yes, Bill, we will do it live. So just a programming note up there so you can schedule your adjustments as needed. My next guest tonight, the creator of cookoutnews.com and the third Tuesday of the month regular guest here, 35 past the first hour. Talking about all things important to the world of live fire, it's my pal Wes Wright. Poll question of the week time. Right out of the gate. Yes or no? There is a barbecue or grilling season.
I'm going to say no on that. I live in Michigan.
Wow. Look, shockingly, as I go to the results here on YouTube, 88% say no and 12% say there is, which is a bit shocking because all through Tuff Stone segment, it was 100% no. Everybody saying that there is indeed not a barbecue and grilling season. It's all year long. This is what we do. I figured it would have been towards 100% here. It was kind of a trick question, but I'm once again shocked by the results. However, Wes Wright is right here from cookoutnews.com. A lot of things to tackle here off the rip. So let's start with Halo. I guess for the folks that don't know, kind of a newer name, brand that's out there. So if you could give us maybe a quick overview on what Halo is all about, and then we can talk about the thing that really seems to be bringing their uniqueness to market, which is battery-sized or full-size battery-powered pellet cookers.
Yeah, sure. So Halo's a pretty new company. It was started by a guy that used to work for Blackstone. He was like a VP of product or something over at Blackstone. They came out with a pizza oven first, then I want to say a portable battery-powered pellet grill, and then a little griddle. But everything they do, they try to find some innovative approaches and don't just do everything else that's on the market. So, it's a cool company. If you haven't seen them before, check them out because they have a lot of great features, and they think through some problem areas that people run into with cooking, and they come up with unique solutions for them.
So I'd mentioned the full-size battery-powered pellet cooker. Your general thoughts on that?
I think it's a good idea. It is annoying to run an extension cord to your pellet grill, and I don't know if you have little kids like me, I'm worried about them tripping over it and stuff like that. So and it runs like 15 to 20 hours. So you could do a brisket cook on it, which, I don't know what else you'd cook much longer than that on a pellet grill. But yeah, I think it's a good idea. And, we're going to see more of that, I think. And even tomorrow, you're going to see Gorilla Grills is going to release just a battery pack, branded Gorilla Grills battery pack for grills, like an outdoor power station that's battery operated. So
is the thought on that everybody's going to be using the same stuff, so you can just make accessories to go regardless of if it's yours or not?
Yeah, I think they're just, rather than creating an integrated version of one of their grills, they just thought we'll just create our own power source, even though there's a million power sources on the market.
Traeger also has a battery-powered pellet cooker in the works. I don't know where it is in development at this point, but it's a bit different from a powering setup. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, that one's cool because it we'll see if they ever come out with it. I think I said in my article it'd be a couple years out because of where they are in like the refresh cycle, and they bring things to the timberline first and then trickle them down. But that's same kind of thing like what Halo did, where it has a a battery pack, but the difference is they have a secondary battery in their design. So that way, when you change out a battery, it'll run for like 15 minutes off the secondary battery to give you time to change out the first, so you have an uninterrupted cook. That only comes into play though if you cook longer than what you need on your battery pack. And also, kind of a quirk on that one too, is they said that they have designs of like using battery packs from drills and things like that, from other companies. And with how, I don't know, Traeger is, I can't imagine they'd not have a proprietary battery pack, but it's a neat idea if they could.
With the emergence of battery-powered cookers coming into market from Halo, Traeger, a couple others, do you see this being a new trend where most of the other OEMs now are going to feel obligated to bring some kind of a battery-powered cooker to market, full-sized or not?
Yeah, I think over the next few years, we're going to see, every company kind of that has pellet grills come out with it. Pit Boss, they had a portable battery-powered pellet grill this year. Once somebody does a feature, a lot of other companies copy it. But, you have a Timberline, right? Do you think you'd use battery power?
Honestly, I wouldn't even think about it. My kids are older, Wes, so I'm not worried about them tripping. But I would say I've had no issue running power cords. So, and it never has seemed like it's been that big of an inconvenience. I was worried initially so not to go into the weeds like this quick, but I hated the thought of pellet cookers long time ago. I thought it was cheating, stupid, never catch on, blah, blah, totally wrong. And then Gorilla Grills sent me one in secret 100 years ago and said it was like the round OG, the one that they sell. And said the guy, Mark Graham, sent it to me and said, just use it. Don't ever talk about it. Just use it. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Check in with me, a couple times a month. And I had to keep it a secret. I was like, oh, my God, I had this secret lover off to the side, which was a pellet cooker because I'm talking shit about it on the show all the time. But quickly I fell in love with its convenience, and it was putting out really good product. I was concerned with using it in the rain or leaving it out, this and that. But over time, because I've become grizzled and jaded, I just didn't even cover one of my new pellet cookers just to see like what would happen. Would it leak into the pellet hopper? And the thing has been through full winter, has been through monstrous rainstorms, and nothing has happened to it. I leave it plugged in, doesn't short out, nothing. So they seem bulletproof. Long way to go to say it's not like I'm going, well, I would love it even more if it had battery, but certainly easier to take around, move around the house. I don't have to be tethered to an outlet now, so I can certainly see the value in it, but it's not putting me over the top. Like also, if it doesn't have tech on it, I wouldn't not buy it if it was a good cooker.
Right. Yeah. I kind of think that's where I'm at too. All my grills I store in the garage and I'd wheel them out when I use them. Well, almost all of them. But it's kind of a nice to have, but not an essential,
RecTech released 2 new portable grills recently. What do we like about
them? I'm not crazy about them. I like RecTech as a company. I think they make, they use a lot of stainless in their products. They have some cool stuff. But all it is, it's really what they have, just smaller in 2 different smaller sizes. So I guess that's appealing. I'm not really in love with portable pellet grills as it is, because they weigh like 100 pounds because of all, you have an auger and, all the electronics. They're not light to lug around. I have a master built, their portable charcoal gravity series that's way lighter, and I would use that if I was going anywhere. So I don't really understand, I think it's probably a cheap, easy product to come out, and that's probably why they did it, because I would suspect they're having some problems. They changed CEOs and everything like that. But that's not to say it's a bad product. It's just what they already had out, just smaller.
That's a company also that was purchased or they sold to private equity or whatever it is. That was a good move for them to do.
I say this as a guy that used to work in private equity, but I don't love it when I'm not a big fan of private equity. They sold out, I want to say in 21, end of 21, something like that, maybe 20, I don't remember. But they sold out within the last few years. And then the founders, there were, the 2 co-founders, they, left the company, and there was a press release where they got some guy from, used to work at like PepsiCo a long time ago and stuff like that. So I just get a little worried when I see new CEOs that aren't from the grilling industry and are just from like consumer packaged goods or things like that, where it's almost like, it's just like a product like any other. And I think there's a lot more passion to it. That's just my take. And also, there's a little thing, but I never like when private equity firms put out press releases and then they just talk about themselves rather than the company, which they did in that. So that always makes me wonder, like, who's actually running it.
One of the most popular segments in Live Fire continues to be pizza. So general thoughts on where you see the pizza oven outdoor segment heading this year?
I think it's that, and I think that's one of the hottest segments this year. I think you're going to see even more people buy them. Lowe's is with Uni, and then Gosney is being sold at Home Depot this year. I don't know if it'll make it in stores or not, but at least online for further distribution. It seems like a lot of people I talk to that aren't even into grilling like pizza ovens, and it's a product that if you have a grill, you can also have a pizza oven. So I think that it seems like a lot of people like them, and I think there's way more room to grow in that area.
You had mentioned two names that I was just going to ask you about. One, Gosney, they had released the mantle, which looks like it hooks on to either the rock box or the dome to give you a little bit more accessible and workable space. They also unveiled the new color of pizza cooker, which was yellow. They really appear to be coming on strong in this segment. So where do you see them currently versus one of those founding fathers, that being Uni?
I think they're a lot smaller than Uni. I think they're...
Is Uni big?
Probably. I'm going to get this wrong, but I want to say they're like 300 million in revenue or something like that. They were in 21, and they said they had a little growth in 22. So they're around there. And I bet you Gosney isn't even at 100 million. I bet you they're probably 50, 60 is my guess if I'm just throwing numbers out. So there's a big difference. And some of that is because they've had distribution through Lowe's and they're just like the name in pizza ovens. I like what Gosney's doing. They also just came out with some events where they're bringing out chefs to cook for you, and you can interact with them. I always think stuff like that helps create your brand, and it's cool. They sent me a yellow rock box that I actually just took out today and started testing it out. And
you like the yellow?
Yeah, it's a nice color. I mean, it's not I don't know if I'll buy specifically for a color. That's just not me, but it's, it looks good. And I also have an Uni too. So, they're both, they both make really great products. It's either one's good.
This is just a business question, but as we talk about some of these companies, Gosney, for instance, Traeger, ThermoWorks, Rectech, I think, Reload there, Utah. Is there something going on with Utah that I missed? Is it a great business destination? I know when Pit Barrel moved out of Denver or wherever they were in Colorado a number of years ago, they went purposefully to Kentucky because Noah said that the business advantages in Kentucky were conducive to them coming there, because I was like, why the hell would you go to Kentucky of all places? Yeah. So he explained it made sense to me, but is Utah a state like that?
I don't understand the reason behind it, but you can add to that list Camp Chef and Blackstone are both in Utah.
Yes, that's right. Blackstone. Yes, right. Yeah, right.
Everybody's in Utah. I don't know. That's like the outdoor cooking hub of the U.S. though, for some weird reason. I don't know the reason behind that, but it'll be worth taking a trip out there. I think maybe to visit some companies. Maybe one of them can fill me in on why they're all out there.
The other smoking hot section of Live Fire continues to be flat top or griddle, depending on what word you like. Where do you see the griddle market heading through the rest of the summer? Are we tapering or are we still on the rise?
I think we're still on the rise with Weber and Traeger releasing new products. That's going to grow the overall segment because, just the marketing in general, even if it doesn't go to them, it's going to keep growing. And it's like a pizza oven. If you have a grill, you can still buy a griddle. And people also like it, because they like breakfast, which, isn't historically something with grills. So it's a whole nother segment of people that might be interested in one. I think it's just going to keep growing.
I'm getting a question in the instant chat. I don't know if you know this or not, but there's obviously a lot of foreign made pellet cookers. Are there any American-made pellet cookers that you know? And certainly there's going to be some kind of componentry that you're probably going to have to get over from China Electrics or the PIDs or whatever. It probably can't all be American-made, but are there any that you know of that are, mostly North American or American-made?
Yeah, it's a good setup because actually Pits and Spits, their Maverick, is all American made. And what I was, yeah, it's a solid product. And what I was blown away by when I went out and met with them is even their controllers they source from the U.S., which I thought was like unheard of to get a controller from the U.S. I don't know if I think they're 100% U.S. made, if I'm not mistaken.
What about Mac, M-A-K?
I'm not sure. I don't follow them that much, but there are some smaller names that are probably American made, but the biggest one I can think of is Pits and Spits. That'd be my go-to for an American pellet grill.
You had talked about Traeger and Weber helping increase the market share just by name. Are you getting any feedback? Are you hearing anything on those releases from either company?
I haven't heard anything on them. I went and just checked them out at my local, Ace Hardware just to play around and feel them. Yeah, they're they're more griddles. I don't know. They're the Weber is, I think, I don't know. You're going to get a lot of people that are Traeger fans that like the flat rock, and the knobs feel solid and they have nice design elements like a lot of Traeger products do. The Weber's at a lower price point, so I think they're it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I'm not sure what my crystal ball says yet on how those will do, but I think that definitely, like, even when I went to the hardware store, those are front and center. So
yeah.
People are buying them, I'm sure.
Well, forget crystal balls. Let's talk about your wallet. If you're going in and they're both there, which one are you buying, the Weber or the Traeger?
So I'd have a hard time spending $900 on a griddle with just the same features that every other griddle has. I actually just ordered a Blackstone this week. They had Griddle Week with some discounts.
Yes, how about that? Good for you.
Yeah, that's where my money went, this week. But and the Weber's kind of in that price spot too. But if I'm spending, $900, I'd then look at Halo, which they have a lot of the features Traeger does and more, or spend a little more. And I want to say 11 to 13, they run sales. Blackstone has griddles with like air fryers and stuff like that are pretty cool and have some of the features too, like, wind blocking, even though I've never had that as an issue, but stuff like that too. So I don't know. It's a weird price point for me to be at $900, but you kind of do the same as every other griddle.
Let's talk about that premium market that you had just mentioned. So $1,000 or more, it doesn't have to be in stores. It could be anywhere. What are the best options currently available? And should you also be looking at brands like Evo in this category?
Yeah, Evos are pretty expensive. I want to say they're like $4,000 or $5,000, but
in the cart they can be less expensive. I think maybe $2,500,
right?
$100, $3,000,
okay.
But definitely expensive, no doubt.
Yeah, a lot of those too. Especially if I was making like an outdoor kitchen as opposed to just having a standalone griddle, I'd want to get that, or want to say Coyote or some other brands. They have griddle products, if I'm not mistaken, that are nice like that. Still though, like a griddle is kind of a griddle to me a little bit. Unless I'm building an outdoor kitchen, I'd have a hard time spending more than $500 and get a pretty nice griddle.
Charbroil's Edge is looking to add a power booster. For those that aren't familiar, the Edge is, of course, the full-size electric cooker that we've been talking about on the show, the one that I had staked my reputation on, saying that this was going to cause a revolution of all the other grill manufacturers to bring full-size electric grills to market, which technically they haven't, but we still got some time left here in 2023. What do you know about that power booster? That's
a really cool idea. It sounded like you experienced when you went to HBPA, as people said, oh, there's, it's too hard with the 110 or, voltage that we have. But the power booster is a way around that. So, it's being creative with what you have, and it's using either a DC battery or a capacitor to store energy. So that way you can use it to run another set of coils, or you can use it to get a little extra power through warm up or for searing, things like that, or even extra grilling space. It's just gives you that extra power, when you need it, as opposed to just relying on what comes out of a standard outlet. It's a cool solution to that problem.
One of the things that I saw on Charbroil's website was they are bundling the full-size electric edge and one of their 4-burner griddles together. So I would imagine that might be the 36-inch cooking surface size, if you're wondering. $939.17. Weird price, of course. However, it's saving you about $400 if you were going to buy them separately. A, good idea, and B, something else that somebody is going to copy.
I think it's a great idea because if, like I said before, if you get a griddle, you want a grill too, right? So if you have neither, you can get everything you need in one package and save some money. And, I think it's a great idea. The other companies that could do it, would be like, I guess, Weber or Traeger now. I'd be interested to see if Weber tries doing that, but it's a good way to, one, not only get people to start using the edge who are a little apprehensive, because then you have a griddle too in case you don't like it, but also it's a way to move their griddle and let people know you have it for $900. You get a grill and a griddle. That's not a bad deal.
Wes Wright joining us here on the show from cookoutnews.com. Wes, last question before I let you go, and I want your honest opinion on this. If you went to a steakhouse restaurant and ordered medium rare and this showed up, would you be happy with it? Would you send it back, or what?
Yeah, it's a little under medium, I'll tell you that. I'm not. I worked in food service. I'm not a send it back kind of guy unless something's really terrible or if my wife bugs me about it. So I would probably just eat it. I'm not that picky, I'm not, even if it's overdone, I'll just say, that, it's not what I wanted, but it's not going to ruin my life. So, but I'm not really a send it back kind of guy.
All right, go to cookoutnews.com, see what's happening with Grilla Grills tomorrow, as Wes had mentioned there a couple minutes ago, and be sure you check it out multiple times a week. He's always baking great news, and you can find him right here on the third Tuesday of the month here, 35 past the first hour. Wes, always appreciate the time and the info, and we'll see you again next month.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Greg.
It's Wes Wright right there. Again, cookoutnews.com, the website, and check it out. I'm telling you, there's so much good stuff. And he's got the weekend refuel. So if you put your email in there at the top of the page, over the weekend, you get a recap of all the great stories at cookoutnews.com. If for some reason you forgot to go there, you can get caught up before the new week starts and all the new business is levied into the live fire industry that Wes has covered. Let's wrap up the first hour. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
And we thank Wes Wright for joining us last segment, cookoutnews.com, his website. So make sure you check that out. You are visiting frequently, as I had mentioned before. Huge first hour. Tuff Stone joined us for the first time in 3 years, so we were able to catch up with him a little bit, talk about the upcoming Memphis In May championship, a little history about him and his dad running the competition, circuit trails, and talking about those rubs and sauces that he has finally brought into market. So tuffystone.com if you want to check those out. But we have a huge second hour already geared up for you. So if you're just tuning in now, make sure you're staying for the second hour. Don't worry about missing the first hour. We're being in podcast right now, or we're recording right now for a podcast, which I'll tell you about here in just a few moments. By the way, some of you reacting to the steak picture that I showed Wes on the way out, saying that thing is still mooing. I know. I'm more like Wes than not in being... there has to be a pretty big food event for me to hail back the server and either send it back, or because it's overdone or it's not done enough. Most of the time I'll gut through it, but that's going back for me. That's as rare as it gets. And maybe whatever's the blue, like we were talking with Derek. Anyway, we are pointing to the second hour of Fresh Libations. Stick around. We'll be right back.
This is Brian Mayer, host of Hot Sauce Weekly, and you are listening to BCRN, all barbecue and grilling all the time.
Happy to have you aboard here for the really big barbecue show.
Boing.
We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Hit me.
Fine, how's it going?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan.
Boing.
So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead and he's in the crackle. Charbono! It's all about the charbono, dude!
Succulent fish. What?
He ate 2 feet for wiener.
But listen, Lavernius, shut your face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seeds.
We have top men working on it right now. Top men.
And just like that, we are into the second hour. Welcome aboard the really big Barbecue Central show where we talk about high-line barbecue and grilling-related items that have transpired over the last days, weeks, and or months, depending on where they are sitting in the news cycle. Sports update. Cavaliers have evened the first round of playoffs with the New York Knicks with a sound thumping 90-107 on the Cavs side. Yes, sir. And it was out of hand right off the bat. So while we did piss away home court advantage by losing on Sunday, at least the Cavs used their home width tonight to even it up. Now we go to New York for 2 games and then back to Cleveland for 3 if necessary. I feel good about the Cavs' chances of getting out of the first rounds, but what do we know about this show? It is not...
Andrew, you are not
a sports show. We're not a sports show. No, sir. But I was tracking it right here off to the right-hand side. So if you see me looking down here, I was tracking. It's all done now. So we're even up and headed to the Empire State of New York. Big city, concrete jungle where dreams are made of. There's nothing that you can't do in New York. By the way, this show brought to you from the great city of...
Palm City, USA. Cleveland.
That didn't go very well. My English was bad there, so I apologize. Still to come on the show this evening, Jess Pryles in about 12 minutes from now from Hardcore Carnivore. Also the founder of her self-titled website, JessPryles.com. And closing out the show at 35 past, CB, or Chris Becker, the founder of CookinPellets.com. And we say goodos, or good evening to those of you watching through one of our video streaming platforms tonight, Facebook and Twitch/BBQ Central Show. You can also watch on YouTube/RD Rempe and audibly on Clubhouse this evening. Let's see if anybody's in Clubhouse. Well, yes, there's Lance Owens right there in the club. Let's throw caution to the wind here. Let's see what Lance is up to. Maybe he's not even up to anything. He said in the chat that he had to go eat sushi or some nonsense like that, but I'm asking him to come up on stage. Going to see if he'll take a free prize for me. Nah, he's probably getting in the car here. So how do you uninvite somebody? Can I uninvite him from the stage? I can't, but that's all right. I just minimized the screen, and now he's gone. Out of sight, out of mind. YouTube poll question of the week update. I asked you, is there a barbecue and grilling season? And the odds have improved. 89% of you are saying no, there is no barbecue and grilling season, which means 11% of you are saying yes, there is a barbecue and grilling season. My thought, no. You got to live somewhere because that's where you live. You love live fire. You love barbecue. You love grilling. You love flat topping. Griddling, I think, is the more common term that's accepted. Griddling. I like flat topping. Can we call that? Can we make that a thing? Hashtag flat topping. wherever you live, you got to suck it up. You got to get out there. You don't grill or barbecue or flat top it until Labor Day and then throw everything in the shed or in the garage where Wes Wright is keeping his stuff, evidently. So mental note, if you're by Wes's house, make sure you get into his garage and steal all of his stuff. Of course, we would never do that. Never. But wherever you live, it doesn't start in Memorial Day and end on Labor Day. Those are just extra days that you get to barbecue and grill. I mean, look at Barbecue Show. Jeff King, he lives in the hinterlands of Canada, where it's always 30 below, even in the middle of summer, and he's out there rocking and rolling. Of course. Come on. Be like Jason. This guy is a live fire maniac. He did Booze Teen one time, if you can believe it. Coming up on the best moments of the Barbecue Central show in 10 minutes or less this Friday, episode 278. Take a step back just for a minute and exercise simple mathematics. In 22 episodes, we'll be at 300 episodes. 300. Holy moly, that's a lot. We'll be taking you back to March 19th of 2016, so 7 years ago. And if you are new to the world of barbecue and grilling, especially barbecue and barbecue pits, and you're not schooled up on the different styles of cookers that there are, then this is one you're going to want to check out. As I was interviewing the owner of Deep South Smokers, Randall Bowman. Randall talks about getting into the business, what separates his cookers from other gravity-fed units, and also paints a picture of how those actually operate for those of you who don't know how gravity-fed cookers operate because you're just new into this and you're just finding out about all these different styles of barbecue pits. I think the most popular or well-known, maybe longest running gravity-fed is Stump Smokers. One of my original 12, I think, barbecue podcasts that I had finally given up to John Solberg to do whatever he wants with has an interview with me and Stumps. Actually, a barbecue legend was also a part of that. It was a three-way interview. It's the second week in a row I've said something in my head. It sounds right, and then as soon as it gets out of the pie hole, I'm gripping back at that. But we had three people in that interview. I was the host, and then there were two guests. And one was Stump McDowell, who is the pit maker at Stump's. And he's got a great accent that if you like accents, you'll definitely dig it. And then I had a Florida Barbecue Association and / general competition barbecue legend, Joby Staniland, who is no longer with us. But Joby and Stump did the interview. So he is one of the original gravity-fed cabinet style. That's what we call them, cabinet-style smokers. And some of them had charcoal drawers underneath, like spice wine cookers did. And what the hell is the name of that cooker that everybody I used to want one too. Fat Boy. Fat Boy was one of Backwoods had charcoal drawer underneath, but then you had the ones that were offset, gravity fed. Stumps was one. Superior Smoker was one. Deep South Smoker is one. And there's a host of great barbecue pits out there. So if you're just new into it, tune in this coming Friday. Learn about Deep South Smokers. They are in business still. I made sure I checked that before I talked about it, just in case it jostled your interest or you're in the market for one of those and you never heard about them. Don't forget, if you have a guest or segment that you would like to hear again in a best of format, email John and let him know what you would like to hear. JON@thebbqcentralshow.com, and he will do his best to meet your expectation. Some listener email that I couldn't get to in the first portion of the show at the open. Mickey in Texas is writing in, our good pal Mickey. My favorite hour of the show each month is the one with Meathead and Robert Moss. I have been a big fan of Meathead since his website when I first learned about it, and then the release of his book. I'm so excited that there is another one on the horizon. Finally, Robert Moss is also a wealth of knowledge and information. I miss his weekly newsletter. Do you know what happened to it? I don't. Well, I mean, I do know what happened to it. Robert got busy. He picked up a restaurant critiquing gig on top of being contributing barbecue editor to Southern Living magazine and writing other books and putting on that barbecue event that he did out there in Charleston, South Carolina. And I believe that is what you call getting backburnered, is what happened to that newsletter of his. The Q sheet, I believe, is what it was called. There are so many different fun, punny names for barbecue newsletters these days, but I believe his was the Q sheet. And I think he just backburnered it because he's busy. So if you are subscribed to it, just sit back, and I'm sure at some point when he slows down a little bit and he's got things to write on, you will find a Q sheet, hit that inbox. Also, Terrence in California is writing it. Greg, am I the only one that thinks the best recurring guest on the show is Rusty Monson? Holy crap. Is this guy a star or what? Sounds like he's really doing well in his business, serving hundreds and hundreds of people at each event. And he comes on your show to share all the experience he's chalked up. Talk about a masterclass of information, and he's just giving it all away for free. Thank you, Rusty, for sharing your information. I hope you continue to do well in your business. I hope to try your food someday. Love the show. Podcast listener mostly. Regards, Terrence. All right. Thank you, Terrence. Rusty's a big fan, so he'll be sure. I guess in the second hour, I've decided to stop talking properly, but that's all right. No worries about that. Rusty's a big fan of this show, so I'm sure he'll get a kick out of hearing you, Terrence, writing in and saying how much you like his recurring segment on the food trailer portion of the business. By the way, new podumentary for 2022 guest that we are following, Joe Martinez of Smokin' Joe's Pit Barbecue, has been locked and loaded for his next appearance as well. That'll be next month. So look for Smokin' Joe coming up here shortly. Jess Pryles will be joining us here in a moment. Maybe. Big Papa's is the one-stop online shop for all things barbecue, a curated selection of only the best outdoor cooking and grilling supplies, getting you on the path to better barbecue results in no time. Everything at Big Papa Smokers has been Pitmaster approved by Sterling Big Papa Ball himself, from the award-winning rubs and sauces to the American-made grills and smokers. Big Papa's offers something for every type of outdoor cook. You know the championship rubs and seasonings, popular flavors like Sweet Money, Cattle Prod, Cash Cow, Double Secret Steak, all proven winners on the competition trail and in backyards. 13 perfectly balanced flavors, transforming ordinary meals into extraordinary meals. They also own Granny's barbecue sauce, so if you're looking for a new go-to sauce that will please everybody, why not try Granny's? It's great out of the jar. Also, if you want to use it as a base sauce and trick it out from there, go ahead. You bought it. Do what you want with it. Aside from the rubs and sauces, they're selling cookers. That's right. Are you looking for a versatile smoker that's easy to use? Check out that Mac 2-star General Pellet Cooker. Big Papa Smokers, the exclusive Mac dealer, even offering special packages. If you don't know what kind of cooker you need, call them. 877-828-0727. That's 877-828-0727, or shop their website at bigpapasmokers.com. That's BIGPOPPA smokers.com. We are back with Jess Pryles right after this. Stick around, be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
This portion of the show being brought to you by Pit Barrel Cooker, the most unbelievable outdoor cooking device on the planet. Currently available in 3 sizes with a host of accessories. Doesn't matter if you're just a beginner or a professional. Definitely cooker want to add to the arsenal. Visit pitbarrelcooker.com and tell them the Barbecue Central Show sent you. My next guest, the CEO of the Hardcore Carnivore brand of products. She's a spokesperson for a number of high-line brands, a once-authored cookbooker, continues to pump out content and recipes through her namesake website. And have I mentioned yet that she also happens to be a Barbecue Central Show's guest Hall of Famer. Of course I have. Jess Pryles joining us here on the show tonight. Jess, are you ready to talk some live fire tonight?
I am so ready. Already. Some might add.
YouTube poll question of the week. Is there a barbecue and grilling season, yes or no?
No.
Right. 89% of you, by the way, are saying that no, there is not a barbecue and grilling season. So I thought it was going to be 100%, to be honest. It was a little bit of a trick question, but 11% of folks are pulling down the average of A++ to B++.
There's always those ones who just ride the coattails.
There's always that 11% that are right
Damn
there.
11%.
Before we get going, I would be remiss if I didn't offer happy birthday wishes to you, albeit a little bit late, but glad you made it around the earth one more time. Did you do anything fun to celebrate?
I did. I went to Mexico to eat tacos.
You did?
It was really good.
Oh.
I did.
Look at you.
It was great. Thank you.
You
That's
love
very
Mexico.
kind.
You love Mexico.
I love Mexico. And we try and go to different places each time. This time was Guanajuato. So we try and go to like very interesting cultural places, not just the beaches.
You ever thought about moving there?
It's great inspiration. No, I haven't thought about moving there, but I do like visiting there.
Would it be...
Yeah.
Would it take all the joy out of it if you lived there, kind of a thing?
I think that's like with anything, when you move to the place that you like going for vacation, it ceases to be a vacation. But every time I go, I will always eat the street food and walk through the markets and just get a lot of inspiration for flavors as well. So it definitely, it helps. It's technically a work trip, right?
I have a picture to show you, and I want your honest opinion on this. If you ordered, by the way, somebody in Instant Chat asked me, did you bring your Thermapen with you? This is not my steak. This is something that I saw on Instagram. What's his name? Max, the barbecue guy? Is that his name? Or Brian, the barbecue guy? Whatever. But I screenshotted it because he had a poll, and it said, if you ordered this steak medium rare, and it came out like this, I'm going to show you it in a second, would you be ecstatic and eat it? Would you be like, I'm going to eat it anyway, or would you send it back? Are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm actually very interested in this.
If you ordered that medium rare, are you ecstatic in eating it, just what you wanted, or is it something that you're not going to bitch and moan about and eat it, or are you sending it
Do you want me to tell you everything that's wrong with that, or
Go
just
ahead.
answer the question?
I'm here for it.
So I rarely, if ever, send food back. There has to be something quite disastrous about it.
This is disastrous.
But that's not a well-cooked steak. So it's bordering on the cusp of being sent back. The other issue with it is you can see there are really big, thick salt grains on it. And I think if you're going to salt meat right before you serve it, you should use a flake salt, something that'll dissolve and be a much more gentle experience on your tongue, because that coarse rock salt is just going to be like offensively salty. But that's actually a rare steak.
Yeah, well, guess what? This asshole is sending it right the fuck back. That's ridiculous. I mean, I'm going to assume, look, if you, this is going to sound very shittily of me, but I apologize in advance. If you're going to go to a steakhouse that I'm going to go to, I don't know. It's not mine. I don't know. Like I said, I screenshotted it off that guy's account who made the poll. If you're going to a steakhouse with me, my expectation is you're going to order it at whatever your temperature is, medium or below. If you order medium well, I'm kicking you right out of my party and out of the restaurant. But medium or below,
aggressive.
My expectation is it's coming out within a few degrees of where we're at. If I'm ordering medium rare, to me, this is on the cusp of blue steak. I mean, certainly you can tell that the we'll go back to it. So you have this, the nice crust on the outside, but then you have a, what is that? An eighth of an inch, right? You have an eighth of an inch of gray area, but then there's there's a large raw area. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
not technically blue, but it's way more blue than rare. And
no, but also judging by the continental parsley in the background, that gives you big like context clues that this is not a great steakhouse. Do you know what I'm saying? When's the last time you saw that parsley on a plate?
Never.
Like
not
that.
to the steakhouses I go to.
Right. That's because you have
Class.
Great, taste.
That's right.
Yeah. It's
By the way,
it's that pinky.
Jeff Ruby's, I'm coming for you on Friday. Columbus. Woo, woo.
Hey.
So be on the lookout for that. You recently did a social post showing how to make beef tallow. So for those who won't go watch the video and are tuned in tonight, catching it on the pod later, perhaps, can you give us instructions on, I guess, how you would want to collect to start that process?
I don't know that I actually want to, Greg.
You don't?
I don't know that I'm not sure that I want to encourage people not to go and watch my videos after this, but which is how you introduced it. But let's err on the side of caution here, and let's give you the benefit of the doubt. Effectively,
you're creating urgency is what you're doing.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying,
right.
like, would you eat this if ... Only find out the rest by watching the video. It's just a very slow cooking process. You can do it in a slow cooker. You can do it in a saucepan. You start with a little bit of water to stop it burning. This water burns off or boils off before the tallow is ready. And then you jar it. It's really, 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 really offensively simple, to be honest with you. But then I came up with this. Well, I actually saw someone else, my friend Jared Standing. He's got a butcher shop in LA. He was posting on his stories about these little grizzly bears. So he put the tallow into gummy bear molds and made these tiny little gummy bears.
What was he talking about?
Tallow. They called them grizzly bears. They're grease bears.
Got it. Okay.
But they're grizzly, but they're not. Yeah. But they actually make for great portion control. So you can like grab a handful of grizzly bears and throw them into a pan before you sear a steak.
All right.
So, yeah.
Just if you're trimming off your briskets, you just save all the fat that you're trimming off, and then you can just make it. Do you need to collect 8 pounds first before it's worth your while, or doesn't matter?
No, it doesn't matter. It's not one of those things. But in fact, I mean, it's always a good idea to collect trimmings, and you know, especially for anyone out there that's also a hunter, it's an easy way to add fat back in when you grind your venison as well. You can make venison brisket burgers. That sounds exciting to me, to be honest. But you can do it with a small saucepan. That's fine.
Not to ask the dumb questions here, but that's what I do best.
Do it.
So other people don't feel obligated to not ask questions. Does it add a noticeable beef flavor to whatever it's added to, or is it a different option of fat?
It's different. So different animals, like the hallmark of beef tallow is it's still quite crumbly in texture. Pork fat and lard is obviously softer, and then on top of that, softer again is duck fat, where you can just scoop it out of the jar without crumbling it out of the jar. And they all have a unique smell, but where they really come into their own is when you brown them and warm them up. So you're basically forcing the Maillard reaction on that fat, browning the fat, developing extra flavor compounds. And that's when you'll start getting magical flavors, and it'll start tasting like the McDonald's fries of our youth.
What do you like using it on best?
I love my most used is probably on roast potatoes. Like the sickest roast potatoes in the winter with beef tallow.
Just the winter? You can't have them in the summer? Too hot?
Unlike grilling, there is a roast potato season.
What? How dare you?
You can't have roast potato. You have fries in the summer.
Hell yeah. I have fries in the winter. I have mashed potato in the winter and the summer. Any potato. Why would you discriminate on potato? A potato all day long and twice on Sunday, regardless of season. Holy shit.
Listen, I'm not discriminating against the potato. I think it's a very, very special root vegetable. The problem with it is that I don't want to have my oven on 450 for an hour in the middle of the summer in Texas.
Yeah, well, you put them in your cooker.
Bro. What? That's not roasting.
Yeah, well, if you get it to the right temperature, 450 degrees, a charcoal grill, coals on either side, potatoes in the middle, smoke roasting. I mean, what are we talking about? It's the same thing, except you add better flavors.
Yeah, I don't like the flavor of smoke on potatoes.
We could just use charcoal. I mean,
That's still a Mitts flavor.
Yeah, but not Kingsford. That's just a heat source.
Wrong.
No.
I disagree.
Come on. Once those things are ashed over, there's hardly way different than if you were to use like some kind of lump charcoal. That would definitely.
So are you
more
saying
of a
that but you're saying pronounce. So if I roasted some potatoes in the oven for you, and then I roasted potatoes in my grill using Kingsford Original, you're saying that you wouldn't taste anything different?
blindfolded?
I call bullshit.
Blindfolded, I would be happy to put that to the test. I'm more inclined to think I would be hard pressed to find the difference.
That's crazy.
As long as they're ashed over, like fully involved.
Nuh-uh.
Like thing, not like at startup and you pitch them in there because you think you're getting good smoke.
No, I know what you're talking about because I know how to grill, right? Like I get it, but but I'm telling you that there's a distinct flavor difference.
All right, maybe my palate's crap.
No, it's all right.
Well, I'm never going to get down to Austin.
I haven't seen
and I'm never going to get to your house. But on the off chance that ever happens, we got to bust out the camera and the recorder, and we're going to put that to the test, and we'll see who's right and who's wrong.
I actually want to prove the point now. So you've always had the invitation, but now it's open.
You know, I never travel anywhere. So I say this stuff in tongue in cheek.
I'll just have to come to Cleveland.
Okay. There's probably a better chance of me getting to Austin than anybody coming to Cleveland by choice, but you never know. So we'll see. We'll see how it works. We'll hold that off on the to-do list in the future. So
all right.
That covers beef tallow. So try it, and then write Jess personally and let her know what you think about it, and then let me know in the YouTube poll question of the week next week when I ask you if you made your own beef tallow and then have used it over the last 7 days. Recipe-wise. Otherwise, at jesspryles.com.
Yes.
What do you have in the works, or what are you working on that we should be excited for?
I'm working on, obviously, Memorial Day, 4th of July, classic recipes, but trying to put a twist on them. So I've been scribbling down a lot of burger ideas, ribs, also basic how-tos. I think at any time of year, there's always new people coming into the fold who haven't grilled before or haven't really dipped their feet in, and it's important to still include them in the conversation too. Like, you know, even posting about how to use a chimney is always valuable to people. So, yeah, and just, you know, the usual meat science stuff, a little bit of travel stuff.
Will you be posting?
It's a real potpourri of great content, Greg, and I really
veritable cornucopia, if you will. Yeah,
that's right.
Will you be doing hot dog recipes?
I hadn't planned on it, but you'd never know. I just feel like what is there to be done?
I don't
know. With the humble hot dog.
What's there to be done with ribs? What's there to be done with burgers?
There's lots that you can do with ribs, I think, because there's different techniques. Because they're already cooked.
Yeah, but I mean, you're the creative one, not me. I boil water and put them in there for 7 minutes, and then get told by Steven Reichland I'm going to be in the 10th circle of hell. So that's where I go.
For boiling your hot dogs?
Yeah, Steven Reichland said there's a 10th circle of hell for people like me, if you can believe it.
Hey, what if I did warming them up in like the toaster or something? Do you think that's a thing?
I don't know, but I know boiling water was an attention getter, to say the least.
Was it a real trigger?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, God, I asked it just in passing because when I grew up, my mom boiled hot dogs. Where do you get a lot of inspiration from? You see what's cooked in front of you as a kid. I knew that wasn't the only way to cook a hot dog, but But it's a
legacy dish for you.
Yes,
and it needs to be respected.
And my mom's a great cook. She's a Barbecue Hall of Fame guest as well. She was in the class just this past year, so she knows how to cook. So don't shit on her because she has boiled a hot dog here or there, right? And that's just something I do. I love it way more on the grill. I like doing the stupid spirals and hone my knife work a little bit, put some rub in it. I'm still unsure about that slot dog thing. I mean, you like
I was
slot
just
dog?
about to ask you about that.
You do slot dog?
I don't know. I've never slotted before. But it's not to say that I wouldn't in future.
You're not an anti-slaughter?
I'm not an anti-slaughter. It just looks like I think it might look better than it tastes because I feel like it would let a lot of juice out.
Are your recipes a mix of fan requesting stuff and whatever is inspiring you at the moment, or are you always more self-motivated and then a smidge or a titch of what the crowd might want?
Good question. I think that it's usually motivated more by the recipes that people are going to be looking for. We know at certain time of year, like people are going to be looking for certain things, and then sort of filling in the gaps with, you have to strike a balance, because at the end of the day, I need the content to be seen. It's not just self-serving for myself. So I know there are certain flavor profiles or certain things that don't do as well as others. And that's why you see a lot of creators, especially online, just do the same thing over and over, because you can never go wrong with like a cheesy burger, cutting into a juicy steak. So mainly driven by yearly sort of seasonality, and then trying to put my own spin on it. But I do often ask questions on my social media if anyone has any recipes they're looking for or anything like that. Someone asked me for another wing recipe the other day, actually. So
another wing recipe.
There you go. Well, I've cooked a few in my time.
Yeah,
so,
I bet.
Yeah.
Yes or no?
Yeah. And then it becomes, yeah. Ooh,
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry. Finish.
No, it just becomes like, so you have your favorites, right? Like if you could cook wings, what would you cook them?
Deep fried with traditional Anchor Bar buffalo sauce.
Okay, but if you had to grill them, what flavor would you be grilling?
My would be a mix of, what is it? Big Papa Smoker's Sweet Money Rub and a Little Louis seasoned salt. That's me.
I think what you meant to say was Hardcore Carnivore, but that's okay. What?
Right. What did I say? Big Papa's is Spanish for Hardcore Carnivore.
That's right.
Yes. Right. My bad.
Papa Grande.
Yes.
So, but that's the thing, and that's how you like it, and that's what you like, and it's really, when you make wings, it's really mainly just a variation of the seasoning or the sauce. So, because you're probably going to cook them in the same way, and you're certainly never going to cook them to medium rare. So,
never.
You might. That'll be one memorable party for all your guests.
Yes, no doubt. The Super Bowl, nobody ever forgot.
Yeah.
And few survived. Hey, Jess, you want to play a game?
Yes, please.
Here we go. Time for the game that has swept the nation for, are we going on 2 years now? Yeah, I think so. It's of the two songs, which one is the best? And joining me for not the first time ever, Jess Pryles from hardcorecarnivore.com and jesspryles.com. Jess, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Jess, originally from Australia. Now live in Austin, Texas. Taught myself how to cook meat and now teach other people how to do it. Also, technically a meat scientist now.
All right, congratulations. Let's play the game.
Thank you.
We can probably talk about that next quarter. Jess, you know how the game's played. Between the two, which is the better Motley Crue song? Both songs happen to be appearing on the 1989 mega album release, Dr. Feelgood. Although neither, in my opinion, that I'm about to give you is the self-titled track, Dr. Feelgood. Are you ready?
I'm so ready.
Of the two, which is the better Motley Crue song, Jess? Same Old Situation or Kickstart My Heart?
Kickstart My Heart. Kickstart My Heart. Kickstart My Heart 100%.
Final answer.
All the way. Lock it in.
To get off the schneid from last quarter, she says, Kickstart My Heart, and didn't even flinch. Yes. You are right. Yes, fuck. We are back on it again. Kickstart My Heart, of course, is way better than Same Old Situation. That's right. Of that album, do you have a favorite of the album?
It's probably Kickstart, honestly.
Oh, really? Even over Dr. Feelgood?
Yeah. Yes, it is. It's just it's the like get up and go out and feel good song.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
Jess Pryles is joining us. HardcoreCarnivore.com, the place to get all the gear and stuff and rubs and whatnot. And then all the recipe stuff can be found at the JessPryles.com website. And, of course, you can find her here once a quarter through 2023. So that'll be in 3 months' time. Jess, always appreciate the time. And we will see you again in 3 months.
Thank you for the excellent music question, and thanks for having me on.
All right. We will see you soon. Jess Pryles, right there, JessPryles.com, HardcoreCarnivore.com, if you are so inclined to check those out for recipes and techniques, or if you're looking for rubs and that new sauce that you got, the burn end sauce. We have Chris Becker on deck. We're going to be talking about pellets, the pellet business, his business, all that fun stuff. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Let's get back to a guy who has more experience giving you his opinion than he actually has cooking. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
And we thank Jess Pryles for joining us last segment. JessPryles.com and HardcoreCarnivore.com. This portion of the show being brought to you by Fireboard. Monitor up to 6 different temperatures simultaneously. Connect to Wi-Fi for cloud-based monitoring. Or connect via Bluetooth. If you have Alexa or the Google Assistant in your home, you're in luck because Fireboard is fully integrated with both. Find out more by visiting fireboard.com or call 816-945-2232. Helping me close the show this evening is a longtime sponsor. And if you have any kind of pellet cooker and you're looking for pellets to fuel, look no further than the only brand that matters, which is cookinpellets.com. We are welcoming back our pal, CB, Chris Becker. Hey, Chris.
Hey, what up, Greg?
I am very excited to have you back here in the friendly confines of the Barbecue Central show, and it has been a chase, I think, like 2 years I've been chasing after you. But look, I mean, it's been a weird time, right? We've had a pandemic since you've been on the last time. I think you and Tuff Stone were on right around the same time frame the last time both of you guys were on, which was at some point in 2019. So I'm happy to have you back.
Can I say a couple of things? One, I apologize. I wasn't trying to escape the issue, not to come on, but the whole COVID thing was just stupid nutty. We were unbelievably busy. Best year we've had in 17 years was 2020, because guess what people were doing? They were home cooking. All that influx of money everybody got, they were out buying grills, and then they were buying pellets, and God bless everybody that bought ours. So,
Chris, can I interrupt you just for 1 second? I think your mic is not picked up for whatever reason. Are you able to go into the gear cog thing and hit the reconnect and make sure that microphone is picked? No problem. We will play traveling music as we wait here. No problem. By the way, as we wait for Chris Becker, Smokin' Joe's Pit Barbecue was saying that you can they smoke their potatoes and pull them at 200 degrees, but you can also do 208 degrees for those of you that were wondering about potatoes. I can tell you right now it's fixed. So thank you for doing that. No problem. And so,
are we better?
By the way, for everybody that thinks that I'm a dickhead to my guests because of this whole microphone thing, listen to how Chris sounded for the first 45 seconds and then evaluate that with how he will now sound for the duration of the interview. So the pandemic yielded hay, but it also yielded probably things that you needed to reconsider from a business standpoint as it relates to cooking pellets.
Yes, 100%. Is the mic now working?
100%, yes.
Awesome. And you know what? You're not being a dick when it comes to the mic, because a guy that does podcasts, I 100% understand that. And there is nothing worse than a muffled guest.
Yeah.
So I get it. 100%. So I actually appreciate that you doing that, and I wouldn't have known if you hadn't have said anything. So thank you.
Yep.
I have no way to hear back. So, it's been an odd 2 years. Best year ever. It was 21 kind of slowed down. 22 was kind of flat, and 22 actually all across the board, whether it's heating or cooking, because I know guys in both businesses, it was actually pretty quiet in 22. And the end of 22, all hell broke loose. Soon as I know the Ukraine war has been going on for a while. I'm not talking politics, but the Ukraine war has done a lot to create more. It's been very busy on the heating end. I don't do heating pellets, you know that.
Yep.
But it was very busy on the heating end because everybody that was doing heating pellets here, they offset it with barbecue pellets that make barbecue pellets other than me, of course. And they pretty much crunched in to doing 24/7 heating pellets, and they're pushing them out by the container load, shiploads out to Europe because a lot of what was coming out of, believe it or not, Ukraine, Russia, they made some things. Some coal is not. Heating for pellets has gone through the roof in the UK, European sector. And because of that, because they were short on oil, because of that, it's created a flurry at the end of last year and the beginning of this year. It's just been crazy. So as far as this year, barbecue pellets, we're doing awesome this year. I mean, things are kind of coming back around. But
was 2022 flat because people were getting back to more of a normal life, going to work instead of being tracked at home, as it were?
Greg, I got to tell you, I can't figure it out. I expected a flat year, a little bit less than 20 was. And I expected it because whenever you have a ramp up, there's always, peaks and valleys. There's always that up and down. And we have been on an uphill for quite a while. So I expected maybe one down. 2022, I honestly didn't know what happened. I thought people were coming back. It took them longer. And I don't know if you see this with what your business is. I don't know if you see that it was kind of flat for 22 also, but I don't know. I can't explain it. I think people just were shy about doing everything. Plus we're half in a crappy recession and things aren't going great with raising it. That's got a lot to do with it. So I think people are now sick of not being able to spend money. So now they are. That's my take on 2023 so far.
Chris Becker joining us here on the show. CookinPellets.com, say COOKIN. From your business internally, customers that maybe you were dealing with, new accounts that you might have been looking to get. I'm stuck in a weird spot the last couple of years doing the trucks where dealers are on allotment. So I have to decide, okay, well, I'm going to allot this many trucks to this customer. Maybe I can't sell any trucks to this customer this year. Did you have similar instances where your maybe longtime customers are no more, or you're able to bring in a customer that you have been looking to get? How does that work?
We've got 400 plus dealers. We've got things outside the country. That doesn't include the country. We've got a couple really strong ones up in Canada. The stuff we have in Europe, in the UK and Germany, does pretty well. But across the board, it was just soft. Everybody. I mean, we have some people that have been with us 17 years. Some dealers, a good handful of dealers that have been with us a long time, and they just didn't buy because there just wasn't any sales. We had one or two small ones that were smaller, close up, unfortunately, because they just couldn't keep up with it anymore. There wasn't enough influx of business to create and keep a viable business going, and we hated to see them go. Some of them were some of our first dealers, but it was just flat. It was just out. I think people were just afraid to spend money. All in all, I think they were just afraid. In our business, we've gone through, and we mentioned this on a short call the other day, that we had gone through some pretty huge changes in the last couple of years, and got to fire a nice customer, which we both admitted is also a really good thing. Sometimes it's good for the heart.
Yeah.
And so after we did that, and I don't know how far you want to get into that, but between that and a couple other customers having to go off because they were bought into, that just changes how we looked at things, and we decided to really just focus on cooking pellets, which I know sounds odd, but we did things for other people. A lot of people don't know that, but
how much of that business was for other people versus what Cookin Pellets was sustaining?
It wasn't. It was probably, it was maybe 30%. It wasn't a huge. I don't let it get out of hand. So I think I mentioned the other day. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. And I like carrying a lot of baskets with a lot of eggs. So because they fall on and off, and it happens. We gain, we lose. It's a part of the dealer network, or just part of the business that we do. But the few that we had, and 30% of business, you lose 30% of business. That's it's not that it hurts. It doesn't help.
Yeah.
But it makes you think, is it really worth the aggravation? And honestly, it boiled down to no, it wasn't worth the aggravation, and see you later. And I was happy to do that. And we're just happier now. We're actually we have fewer issues with employees because we're not hammering on everybody, and we're not getting pushed from others, so we don't push ours. Which is very important, because I hate doing it. We've got a good base of people that have been with us a zillion years, it seems like. So, but yeah, 30%, give or take.
Chris, when you look at the cooking pellet market, food grade wood pellets, how many players are there? There's you, and is there 3 or 4 other ones, or is there way more? Because when you look at options available to buy for the end user to put in their pellet cooker, there appears to be many.
Yeah. There's a couple that have been bought up by other companies. Lumberjack was bought up by a company. There was another one that was up in northern Michigan that went out of business, I think due to his own accord, unfortunately for him. Some of the people that make pellets they're very small. There's a grill company, actually Smokin' Brothers, good grill, good guys.
I know them.
And I know them very well. And when we did not supply their pellets for them, because logistically it just wasn't good. And I mean, we had to sit down, and I'm like, guys, really, you got to buy a guy in their back door almost. And he is more than capable. He just doesn't do, he doesn't do the volume we do, but they didn't need that volume. And we're just not close enough to make it worthwhile. So there are other people doing it. I'll tell you what, there's less smaller guys doing it than there ever has been. The big guys are out there gobbling ones up. The people that bought Lumberjack also own Bear Mountain. They supply a bunch of heating pellets. I mean, they're over half the supply of heating pellets to this country, and they know that there's a part. I mean, they talked with us on a buy, and that just didn't happen. And we've, the door's been knocked a couple times. We got another knock today, actually.
Really?
Yeah, it's, hopes and dreams, and it's good that people have them. I hope and dream that they can buy us. But
are people knocking on you that are just bigger pellet cooking bigger pellet producing companies, or are they like PEs or venture capitals, or what?
We have talked to a little bit of everybody. Today was actually I shouldn't say small business owner. He's a small business owner. We've known them for years, and they are going through growth spurts and have a very good set of people in place, and they are in a few different markets that kind of are on the side of the barbecue industry, and they see that dealing with us or taking over what we're doing would be an addition for them. And they're just trying to grow their businesses. We've talked to big distributors that wanted us. We've talked to small distributors. It gets down to brass tacks, and okay, well then, as the old saying goes, show me the money.
Yeah. So what's Chris Becker's walk-off number right now? If somebody's coming in tomorrow to stroke you a check to walk away, is it
$1.380?
$1.380 after tax?
$1.380.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, that's after tax.
After tax.
Yeah.
Always.
It's if somebody were gonna, I don't know. Honestly, I don't have a solid.
Like, do you look at it from a multiplier of past revenue? So this times 3-4 years.
When it comes down to it, the EBITDA is definitely a multiplier of 5 to 7. I mean, it's business. For as much as this is our fun business, it's still business. So if somebody wanted to write me a check, I'd take a check. But realistically, I've only talked to 2 companies that could probably actually write me a check.
Do you have a non-fun business?
Yeah, we do. Actually, yeah, we own property. We own commercial property, industrial property. So not commercial, more industrial. So we're getting into commercial right now. We just sold our building that we had, and we're still in that. But now we're in the middle of buying a couple different properties, one to house cooking pellets, and I'll have access room and we'll lease out that, and another one that just is something that I won't manage. I don't have to deal with people. I love people. I just don't like the ones that lease from me sometimes. So it's just better off. But
are there any new products?
But all in all, pardon?
Any new products at Cookin Pellets?
We're doing a line of seasonings and spice blends. That'll be we're going through the website right now, not really making it look different. We're just bringing it to it just needed to be looked at. It's just the back end stuff needed to be tightened up and secure, and not that it isn't, but we're just trying to get it more functional. There was a few bumps in the road, and I had a person that was on it and didn't quite keep up with it the way we thought, and we found out late, and so we've been on that for the last month, and hope that's going to get done soon. But our seasoning and spice blends, so we're starting with a grilled steak seasoning, low or no salt in that, very flavorful. When it comes available, I will let you know. Well, actually, so you tell me what you want to do, and I'll tell you right now, I would send 10 packs of 2 to 10 people that, you tell me to send it to.
Oh,
or
right. Well,
you tell me how to do it. But
we'll play a game on the show, and then we'll do it over the course of 10 weeks, and I'll send you the winner every week, and you can just ship them out directly. All right.
Yeah, perfect. And so we're actually going to be doing, on the grilled steak, we're going to be doing a buy one, share one with a buddy. So you get 2 for the price of 1. When that gets up, we'll let you know so you can go ahead and say it. And somewhere in the next, hopefully 10 weeks, that'll be up so you can push it. But
great.
So we're starting off with a couple things, a brisket rub and a chicken, just things that we probably should have been doing a long time ago, but because we were busy doing other things, we just didn't. So
let's end here. Royal Oak is proudly displaying charcoal pellets. Some friends that I have in the live fire community, I don't know if they have association with them or not, but they are also putting it up that they are 100% charcoal pellets.
Right.
For anybody new to the show, this is something that you and I talked about probably as long as you should have been having rubs and spices out on the market, like 8, 9, 10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And when we talked about it that time, it was very quickly dismissed. I don't even think we got into the nuts and bolts. But now, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, 10 years later, here it comes again. And it seems it's even more of a fervency than it was the first time around. So let me ask you, can charcoal pellet, is that a thing for real? And then if so, since you're the guy that makes pellets, how would you go about making a charcoal pellet?
So there's two ways. We've done it. You know this. We've made them. But there's two ways to do it. You either make it with wood, and if you do, all you're doing is using the charcoal as a colorant. That it really doesn't make a charcoal pellet. Looks like a charcoal pellet, but it's nothing more than wood that's been, blackened with the charcoal. So you can't. Charcoal is a product that you cannot compress it, and pellets are compressed. So they're compressed about 15,000 tons of pressure, and that's what makes the pellet. Sawdust compression, that's what makes it nice and hard. And what keeps that together is a natural product called lignin. We've talked about this. It's in every tree, and that comes out when it gets heated up, and it gets heated up when it gets pressed. So when it pops out the other side of the die, that's what the shiny part is on a pellet, is the lignin. That's the binder. So when you have too much charcoal and not wood, you have no binder. So therefore, you really can't make a charcoal pellet unless you add a binder to it. So I won't, personally, we will never make a pellet that has anything in it that isn't natural. So I won't do binders. We don't even use oil.
What would the binder have to be?
So it's a chemical base. Sometimes it's not a bad chemical.
So like borax.
No, some starches can be a binder, but it's just not natural. That's all it is. It's not a natural binder in a pellet. So it's a chemical binder. I don't care if it's a food stuff or not. It still burns off different than the wood does. So I'm not saying Royal Oak, please, not saying Royal Oak is putting any binders in their stuff. But if they're making charcoal pellets, I'd love to know how the hell they're doing that. Because torrefied pellet is a pellet that is made of wood. That pellet is then burned to charcoal. Okay? But that's not charcoal itself. That's a torrefied pellet. There's still a little wood there. And that's an expensive process.
And that would be like lump charcoal.
Yes, it would be kind of. Yeah, in essence, because it burns off the softer parts of the tree, and it leaves the harder parts, which is what happens with charcoal pretty much.
That seems like it would be really, you would have to get it in pellet form, I would imagine.
Yes.
And then put it through the retort process to get it to where it's been, charcoalified. Not a word, but I just made it up. And
it's very strong. Yes. I have torrefied pellets at the shop, and they're strong, and we looked at adding it into different ones, but we couldn't get the problem is there's very few people that actually torrefy pellets, and those that do it, like some other things, think they have gold. And it's just a torrefied pellet. Now, the problem is you're putting the process into the pellet manufacturing, and then you're torrefying it. So yes, it's more expensive. So, but if
I sent you a bag and you cut it open, would you be able to pretty much tell right off the bat what the process is?
Yeah.
I have a connection. I'm going to send you a bag, and then you're going to do due diligence, and then between us off air, we'll figure out what's going on, and then that's that.
Sure.
And then
we'll
keep it all to ourselves.
I'd love to see it. Yeah.
We'll be smarter and you won't. So great. Chris, anything else happening before I let you go this evening?
No. And again, I'm going to tell you, I apologize for the off-put of not being able to be on it, because I always appreciate when we sit and chit chat and when I'm on the show, and it's always good to roll in with other people. I mean, Jess she's awesome. And it's not bad to be on shows with other awesome people, other like yourself, Greg.
Oh, thank you.
I just want to let you know I appreciate the time, and just business being upside down for a couple of years, and just getting it straightened back out. So.
Yeah, well, as long as busy business is good business, then that's the only way.
Oh yeah.
I would like to be operating. So glad to hear that's the fact. This is Chris Becker from Cookin Pellets, COOKIN, cookinpellets.com, your number one source for quality wood pellets to put in those pellet-driven cookers. Chris, appreciate the time and the catch-up tonight. We'll talk to you again soon.
Yep, no problem. Thanks, Greg. I appreciate it. Have a good one, man.
You got it. Chris Becker, from Cookin Pellets. And if you have never tried them, shame on you. CookinPellets.com, the place to go. Or go to their website, find a dealer near you, and then pick them up at the dealer. Support the dealer that supports Cookin Pellets, and you're doing everybody a favor. And you tell me they aren't the best pellets out there on the market today. All right, we're back to wrap the show right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Whole packers, full racks, legs and thighs, injecting butts. If you've never heard this before, you might think you found the best XXX show ever. Let's get back to the most homoerotic host out there today, Greg Rempe.
And we thank Chris Becker for joining us last segment. COOKIN, cookinpellets.com. El Jefe Smoke, charcoalified. I like it. Let's get it on t-shirts, El Jefe, and we'll split the profits. 80% me and 20% you, because I came up with charcoalified. So if you haven't tried the Cookin Pellets brand, or if you're a partial to some other brand and you're open to giving Cookin Pellets a try, give them a shot, again, on the website, or you can find a dealer near you, pick them up directly, and then you're off and running. All right, all the way back in the first hour, we had Tuff Stone from Pitmaster of Cool Smoke. TuffyStone.com, his website. You can pick up his rubs and sauces there. He's got his book on there. Probably potentially another book in the making, maybe. Who knows? Tuffy's up. We'll have him on a handful of times here in 2023, no doubt. So looking forward to continuing the conversation with Tuff Stone. After Tuff Stone, it was third Tuesday of the month. Regular guest, 35 past the first hour, Wes Wright from CookoutNews.com. Second hour was quarterly guest for the second time in 2023. JessPryles.com, HardcoreCarnivore.com, creator of both of those websites and brands and products, Jess Pryles. Off the Schneid, by the way, on the rock and roll song game as we play at the end of every segment. And then Chris Becker closing out the show from CookinPellets.com, COOKIN, CookinPellets.com, getting a catch-up on their business, what they expect in 2023, any new products coming this year, which he said there are. And then we talked about the reemergence of charcoal pellets, 100% charcoal pellets. We'll see. We'll dig in. I'll let you know. So remember, next week, the show is not Tuesday. It's going to be Wednesday. The week after that, the show is going to also be on Wednesday. They will be live shows, so don't worry about that, but we will be on Wednesday. I will also keep you abreast of that in social media postings throughout the course of the week. So, how do I always leave you? September 11, 2001. I will never forget. Until next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, this is your program host, the proud U.S. American, Greg Rempe. Good night now.
This is Maddie Rempe from Cleveland, Ohio, and you're listening to BBQ Central.